Imagine standing at the edge of your greatest fear. The impossible stares back at you. Most people turn away. But what if I told you that the impossible is only a test of your mind, that you already have the power to conquer it, if only you train yourself to think differently? Today, we embrace the way. A mind unshaken, a will unbreakable. Seneca once said, "You suffer more in imagination than in reality." These words hold the key to a powerful truth. Much of our suffering is self-inflicted, born not from actual events, but from our refusal to accept what is beyond our control. The human mind, when left undisciplined, clings to outcomes, obsesses over opinions, and fights against the inevitable. But the Stoic understands that true power comes not from controlling everything, but from mastering what is within reach. Our thoughts, our actions, our responses. Everything else? Let it go. Consider a storm at sea. A weak sailor panics, fights the wind, curses the waves. He exhausts himself trying to change something that cannot be changed. A wise sailor, however, does not waste energy resisting the storm. He adjusts his sails, steadies his grip, and rides the winds as they come. Life is no different. Every day you will encounter things beyond your control: the economy, the weather, the opinions of others, the past, the future. If you waste your energy trying to fight them, you will only drain yourself and remain trapped in frustration. The key is to recognize what is within your sphere of influence and pour your energy there. Epictetus, once a slave, understood this better than most. He had no control over his early circumstances. He could not change the fact that he was born into servitude. But instead of sinking into despair, he focused on the one thing he did control: his mind. He trained himself in philosophy, sharpened his thoughts, and refused to let external circumstances dictate his inner peace. Eventually, he earned his freedom and became one of the most respected Stoic teachers in history. His lesson? No one, and nothing, can take away your ability to govern your own mind. Many people waste years, even lifetimes, consumed by things they cannot change. They dwell on the past, replaying regrets and mistakes as if they could rewrite history. They fear the future, worrying about things that may never happen. They tie their happiness to other people's opinions, seeking validation from those who do not even control their own thoughts. But what would happen if, instead, they reclaimed their focus? If they stopped seeking control over the uncontrollable and directed their energy toward their own actions, choices, and mindset? Marcus Aurelius, a man who ruled an empire, faced constant betrayal, war, and hardship. Yet, in Meditations, he wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." This is the essence of freedom: to stand firm no matter what chaos surrounds you, to say, "This is my mind, my character, my response. Nothing can take that from me." The moment you accept this truth, a weight lifts. You stop resisting life and start engaging with it as it is. You become the sailor who rides the storm rather than the one who fights it. And in doing so, you unlock a strength that most will never know. The strength of a mind at peace with itself. Comfort is the enemy of growth. It lulls the mind into weakness, softens the spirit, and breeds complacency. The Stoics understood this deeply. They knew that true strength, of character, of will, of mind, could only be forged in hardship, much like fire tempers steel. If you seek to achieve anything great, you must first learn to embrace discomfort, not as something to be avoided, but as a teacher, a necessary force that sharpens and strengthens you. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world during his time, did not allow himself the luxuries that his status could afford. He trained his body and mind to endure hardship, to wake before dawn, to work tirelessly, to remain disciplined when others indulged. He understood that ease corrupts, while struggle refines. When difficulties arose, wars, betrayals, plagues, he was prepared. His hardships did not break him, they revealed his strength. Most people fear discomfort. They avoid it at all costs, seeking warmth, security, and ease. But in doing so, they rob themselves of their potential. The man who fears discomfort will never push himself beyond what is familiar. He will never test his limits, never grow beyond what he is today. The Stoic, however, welcomes adversity. He understands that struggle is not an obstacle to success, it is the path to it. Seneca often practiced voluntary hardship, deliberately exposing himself to discomfort. He would sleep on the floor, wear simple clothes, and eat meager meals, not out of necessity, but as a way to train his mind. He wanted to remind himself that he could endure anything, that he was not a slave to comfort. By doing so, he built resilience, an inner toughness that no external misfortune could shake. Life will test you. There will be pain, setbacks, failures. You will be rejected. You will lose. You will suffer. But every challenge is an opportunity. When you feel discomfort, physical, emotional, or mental, lean into it. Let it shape you. Let it make you stronger. Do not ask for an easy life. Ask for the strength to endure a difficult one. Because in the fire of hardship, the weak are burned away, but the strong emerge unbreakable. Emotions are powerful. They can drive us to greatness or drag us into ruin. For most people, emotions control their actions. They react impulsively, allowing anger, fear, or sadness to dictate their choices. But the Stoic does not allow himself to be ruled by fleeting feelings. He understands that emotions are like the wind, unpredictable, forceful, and often destructive. A weak man is like a leaf caught in a storm, tossed in every direction by his emotion. But a strong man, a Stoic, is a fortress. He stands firm, unmoved by the chaos around him, controlling his reactions instead of being controlled by them. Epictetus reminds us it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. The world will test you. People will insult you, betray you, disappoint you. Unexpected hardships will arise, and situations will not always go as planned. You cannot stop these things from happening, but you can control how you respond. Will you lash out in anger? Will you crumble under pressure? Or will you remain calm, steady, and rational? Marcus Aurelius, despite being an emperor, faced constant betrayal, war, and political turmoil. Yet, his writings and meditations show a man who refused to let his emotions dictate his actions. He trained himself to remain composed, knowing that a ruler who reacts emotionally is a ruler who makes poor decisions. He understood that emotions are temporary, but the consequences of acting on them can be permanent. This does not mean you should suppress your emotions or pretend they do not exist. Instead, recognize them, observe them, and choose how to respond. When anger rises, do not let it explode into reckless words or actions. Pause, breathe, and assess the situation logically. When fear creeps in, do not let it paralyze you. Analyze it, break it down, and move forward anyway. A fortress does not deny the existence of storms. It simply stands strong against them. Mastering your emotions does not mean feeling nothing. It means feeling everything yet remaining in control. It means refusing to be a slave to impulses and instead choosing your response with wisdom. The world belongs to those who can stay calm in chaos, think clearly under pressure, and act with reason instead of emotion. Strength is not in reacting, but in mastering yourself. Be the fortress, not the leaf. The mind fears what it does not understand. It magnifies problems, exaggerates risks, and creates monsters out of uncertainty. This is why so many people freeze when faced with challenges. They see the impossible, not realizing that it is only their perception that makes it so. The Stoics had a tool to counter this: premeditatio malorum, negative visualization. By deliberately imagining worst-case scenarios, they trained themselves to face fear, shrink uncertainty, and prepare for anything. Seneca wrote, "He robs present ills of their power who has perceived their coming beforehand." When you visualize difficulties before they happen, you strip them of their surprise. You gain control. Most people live in fear of things going wrong, but the Stoic takes a different approach. He rehearses failure in his mind before it arrives. He imagines losing a job, facing rejection, suffering setbacks, but instead of panicking, he asks, "What would I do? How would I recover?" By running through these scenarios, he discovers something powerful. He would survive. The worst-case scenario is rarely as catastrophic as it seems. Marcus Aurelius, as emperor, faced constant threats: war, betrayal, disease. Instead of hoping for a smooth reign, he prepared for hardship. He visualized his closest allies turning against him, armies failing, and the empire facing ruin. By doing so, he ensured that if any of these things happened, he would not be caught off guard. He had already lived through them in his mind, and he had already found his way forward. This practice does not make a person negative, it makes them resilient. When you picture setbacks, you do not invite them. You neutralize their power over you. Instead of being crushed by hardship, you are ready for it. Instead of fearing loss, you learn to appreciate what you have, and when difficulty does come, you meet it with calmness, as if greeting an old acquaintance. Fear grows in the unknown, but when you bring your fears into the light, when you dissect them, analyze them, and prepare for them, they shrink. The impossible becomes possible. The overwhelming becomes manageable. The Stoic does not wait for life to test him. He tests himself first. And in doing so, he makes the impossible small. Life will not always go as planned. You will face setbacks, losses, and unexpected difficulties. Most people resist these hardships. They complain, ask why misfortune has chosen them, and wish things were different. But the Stoic sees things differently. Instead of rejecting hardship, he embraces it. Instead of resenting fate, he loves it. This is the essence of Amor, Fati, the love of fate. Nietzsche, inspired by Stoic principles, wrote, "My formula for greatness in a human being is Amor, Fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity." This is not mere acceptance of life's events. It is an active love for them. It is seeing every challenge, every obstacle, and every misfortune as a necessary part of your journey. Instead of wishing for easier circumstances, the Stoic learns to say, "This is happening for me." Marcus Aurelius ruled during plagues, wars, and betrayals. Lesser men would have cursed their luck, but he embraced his struggles, writing, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." This is Amor Fati. To not only endure challenges, but to use them as fuel, to welcome difficulties, because they shape you into something stronger. When life presents you with hardship, you have two choices: resist it or embrace it. Resistance leads to suffering. It is wasted energy spent wishing the past were different. But Amor Fati liberates you. It shifts your mindset from why me to good. This is my path. This will make me better. A job loss is not a punishment. It is an opportunity for reinvention. A heartbreak is not the end. It is a lesson in resilience. Every challenge carries a gift, if you are willing to see it. Seneca wrote, "A good person dyes events with his own color and turns whatever happens to his own benefit." This is the ultimate power of Amor Fati. It makes you undefeatable. If you can love whatever life throws at you, if you can welcome every event as necessary, then nothing can break you. You become fluid, adaptable, unshaken. The strongest person is not the one who avoids hardship, but the one who embraces it, the one who looks at every challenge and says, "This is exactly what I needed." Because the truth is, it is. Fate has given you this path. Your only task is to love it. Death is the one certainty in life, yet most people refuse to think about it. They live as if they have endless time, delaying what matters, putting off their dreams, avoiding difficult conversations, and wasting days on trivial concerns. But the Stoics saw things differently. Instead of fearing death, they embraced it as a powerful tool for living well. Memento Mori, remember that you must die, was not a morbid thought, but a reminder to make every moment count. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." These words were not meant to inspire fear, but urgency. They remind us that life is fleeting and that every day, every breath is a gift. The problem is most people act as if they are immortal. They waste time on distractions, hold grudges, and postpone the things that truly matter. They assume there will always be a tomorrow, but the Stoic knows that tomorrow is never promised. The only guarantee is this moment, right now. Seneca took this idea further, warning us that death is not something waiting for us in the future, it is happening now. "We are dying every day," he wrote. "Every passing moment is a moment we will never get back. The days behind us are no longer ours, the future is uncertain, only the present is within our grasp and we must use it wisely." Instead of fearing death, Seneca believed we should live in a way that, if it came tomorrow, we could face it without regret. When you truly embrace Memento Mori, everything changes. Trivial worries lose their power over you. You stop caring about petty arguments, about what others think, about things that do not serve your purpose. You stop delaying your dreams, knowing that time will not wait for you. You learn to appreciate what you have, your loved ones, your opportunities, even the simplest pleasures, because you understand they will not last forever. The fear of death is often the fear of an unlived life. People do not regret death itself. They regret not having lived fully, not having loved deeply, not having been bold when they had the chance. Memento Mori strips away illusion and leaves only the truth. Life is short, and the time to act is now. The Stoic does not dread this truth. He welcomes it. He wakes up each day with the awareness that it could be his last, and instead of despairing, he uses it to fuel his action. He works with purpose. He loves with sincerity. He speaks with honesty. He does not leave things unsaid. If today were your last day, would you be satisfied with how you lived? Would you have told the people you love what they mean to you? Would you have chased your dreams without hesitation? If the answer is no, then change it, because one day you will wake up, and it will be your last. And when that day comes, the Stoic will not be afraid. He will smile, knowing he has lived well.